I just couldn't in that moment fathom like God was gonna just supernaturally like appear this money like for me. Like because I couldn't trust in men on earth, I couldn't trust the Creator. The amount of conviction that licked me right deso in that moment, that's what we say in Patois. In English, conviction hit me like I don't even know what to call it. It hit me hard. Hey everyone, hello. Hi, and if you are new, welcome. This is Virtuously Me, where I talk about my journey with Christ, my ups and downs with him, and hopes for anybody who comes across my channel, you can have some relatability to it or anything of that nature. So I wanted to again take a minute away from the whole let's talk about it. I wanted to do kind of a story / testimony time of the time that I had put forth. It was $250 in tithes and I got back $701. Okay, I want to talk about that. All right, this is a testimony time. And it also kind of leads into the importance of tithing. So I never really was like the biggest fan of tithing. Not gonna lie to you. Again, this is really before my seriousness of Christ. Again, I have grown up in Christianity and I always had said I was a Christian, but I was just like, I don't really have money like that. I kind of grew up very poor. So anytime I had money in my pocket, I was always going to spend it, So I never really thought about giving my money to Christ, giving my money to the church. Like what I needed. What is we talking about here, okay? What is we talking about? So I never was an avid tither. And I kind of started, I want to say in like 2021, trying to give my tithes in. But again, I wasn't consistent with it. I wasn't really like keeping on with it. It wasn't something that really stuck with me. Okay. So that is that. And I'm gonna go into like later on too of like why is it even important to give your tithes, because I feel like some people have such a bad like narrative, like, oh, why are we paying the church? All these pastors, they just use the money for like themselves and listen here, listen, yes, all right, focus right here. Let's stop that narrative, okay? Let's stop that narrative of why am I paying the church? I'm just funding the pastor. I'm just funding his lifestyle and his family. Let's stop that right now. I'm very, very much annoyed with that narrative because you saw a couple of bad apples of mega churches, mega pastors from mega churches using the church money in a negative manner. That does not equate to every single church, okay? Let's get out the mindset of like we're giving that money to that pastor. Yes, like in the physical realm, we are giving that money to a physical church, yes. But in the spiritual realm, you're not paying the pastor. You're giving what is owned or what is due to the Most High. So let's just fix that narrative. I hate it so bad. Y'all take certain like examples from bad apples and y'all think it's everybody and their mamas, and I cannot stand that narrative so much. If you've seen that is for those mega churches and those mega pastors to take it up with Christ, okay? That is not our issue, and there are millions and billions of churches in this world. Those bad apples do not equate to everybody else, okay? Sorry, I got a little passionate there, but I can't stand that. Like, I cannot stand that narrative of like, why am I paying money to a church? I'm just funding the pastor. Like, no, that is not the importance of tithing. The importance of tithing is to give what is owned to God because he's the one who gave you your own job. You did not get it on your own strength. You got it from a blessing from God, because that manager could have said no. Okay, all your skills set, all your things on your resume, everything, they're all due to God, because God is the one who created us and all that. You did not get that job on your own strength. What made you special out of all the other like interviewees? You know what I'm saying? That it was a blessing from God, so you owe him what is due to him from that blessing, from that job or income that you got going on for you. Anyway, let me reel it back. So, like I said, I wasn't the most avid tither. So I remember in 2022, I've said it a lot that I joined this group called Hello You. Said it a lot. Great church, great group of women. And I remember one day, I believe it was after like a fasting or something like that, I'm not sure, but the leader, the founder of the group, she said that make sure that we give our tithes. And I vividly remember that day. I was going to Stop and Shop. I do that all the time. So I was going to Shop and Stop, whatever. And you know which grocery store I'm talking about. And I remember I was like, look, I can't really give tithes, like, because I have bills that I have to pay. And this was the first year that I was out on my own. I'm, moved out into my own apartment on my own. I'm paying more bills. So I'm like, I have no space to give towards tithes and also be expected to pay my rent, my electricity, my Wi-Fi, my, all these things. So I'm like, I'm not gonna pay my tithes. It is what it is. And at that time I had to owe about like $250, because for those who may not know what tithes are, it's basically 10% of your income, 10% of whatever paycheck you get. So I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do this. Like, I have stuff I gotta do. I gotta pay stuff. And I remember I was driving back from the grocery store to my apartment, and it's about a 2-minute drive from the grocery store to my apartment complex. The amount of conviction that licked me right there in that moment, the amount of conviction licked my backside. That's what we say in Patois. In English, conviction hit me like I don't even know what to call it. It hit me hard. In that 2 minutes of driving from the grocery store to my apartment complex to my parking spot, the amount of conviction that hit me was tremendous. It was crazy. I don't know if I've ever felt that much conviction in a very, very long time. Oh my gosh. I started bawling. Like, if you were in the car with me, you probably would have been like, what is wrong with this girl? You would have been like, straight. The way I was happy to just randomly started bawling, oh, y'all would have thought something was wrong with me. Y'all would have thought something was wrong with me. I was bawling in my car. I'm like, why do I feel this way? Like, I can't pay tithes. Like, I have to. Like, I have other bills to pay. Like, all these things. Like, I was bawling. So I hit up the founder, actually, and I was just like, I can't pay my tithes. Like, I can't. But why do I feel this way? I feel so guilty, like, for even saying that out of my mouth, even uttering that out of my mouth. And I was literally having a whole panic attack, because I told her, I said, if I paid this $250, it's going to come out of my rent money, and I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent for the month. Like, I don't know where the remainder of my rent is going to come from if I give towards tithes. What am I supposed to do? And she's like, you have to trust the Lord. He is going to be faithful unto you if you are faithful in giving your tithes. And I remember I was literally having, if you could see my living room, is like a big old like sack over here in the corner. And I was having a whole panic attack on that sack, talking to her. And I was just like, what am I gonna do? I'm literally bawling. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I can't do this. I don't trust. The thing is, I have a problem with being hyper independent. Because of a lot of trauma in my life, I am very hyper independent. And a lot of you may connect with that. I never was able to depend on anyone truly to help me out the mud for necessity. Like when I was younger, yes, I was able to depend on like my mom, but like growing up, and even with that, I wasn't really able to really even truly depend on her too much, because she wasn't able to like help me outside of the means of security, safety, and groceries and food. She wasn't really able to help me outside of that because, like I said, we kind of grew up poor. So when I really grew older, and after like in college and after college, it kind of was like I had to really depend on me, myself, and I type of thing. That's what kind of was. And nobody really could help me. And again, like I grew up on my dad's side. He was always the one to tell me like, nobody can help you. Only you got yourself in this world. Nobody else can help you. It's you yourself. You were born alone, you're gonna die alone. That was it. And a lot of, I felt like I couldn't depend on anybody. A lot of the guys that I dated, can I say it? Were bums. I'm so sorry. I don't like to be mean, but I supported a lot of the guys that I was with financially. I wasn't able to depend on my parents financially. I couldn't go to anybody else in my life for finances. Like, it was just always, I had to depend on myself. So where was I gonna get this money from? And yes, I would always hear the stories of people like having supernatural encounters where they're able to, ask God, like, okay, God, I need the money. And then God just does it something supernatural. But I just couldn't in that moment fathom like God was gonna just supernaturally like appear this money like for me. Like because I couldn't trust in men on earth, I couldn't trust the Creator. I had boxed God in this like little box and put him on the same level as regular human being, regular female and males, regular just people. So I felt like if I can't trust regular people to help me financially, why would I trust God? He can't do that for me. Like, again, like I was not in a mindset of like, first and foremost, girl, get it together. Who even gave you the job that you have, your dream job? Like, I was finally in my dream job of being a labor and delivery nurse. Like, I was not even in a mindset to even fathom, like, girl, who even gave you that job? Who gave you that blessing? The way that I got my labor and delivery job was like supernatural blessing. Who gave you that? You owe him. Like, I was not in that mindset. I truly was not in that mindset. So I'm sitting there, panic attack, crying, like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And she's on the phone with me, and I'm bawling like snot, tears. Oh guys, it was ugly. And she on the phone like, girl, it's up to you. It is up to you. You got to make that decision. Are you going to give your tithes to Christ and trust him? And although I'm like panic attack, like I can't breathe, guys, I can't breathe. She sits there on the phone with me until I give my tithes to the church that I'm attending. I literally sent it via Zelle. And I sent it. I said, I did it. I sent it. And she's like, I'm so proud of you. Okay, go relax. And that's it. That was it. And I was like, God, I think at that time, God had about, I forgot, like maybe 10 days. Or no, it wasn't. I think he had about like 3 days, until the first of that month to show up. So I'm sitting here trying not to worry during those whole 3 days. I'm trying not to worry, like, oh my gosh, like, where is God gonna get this money from? What am I supposed to do? But I didn't really want to tell anybody because I kind of just wanted to see how God was gonna move, if he was gonna do it for me supernaturally or not. So I didn't really want to tell anybody. First and foremost, I also was very prideful. I never really wanted to ask for help. I didn't want anybody to know that I was struggling. I didn't want anybody to know anything. Like, I like to put on the front that I got it all together. How am I gonna look this big shot nurse who don't got the funds to pay her rent? That sounds crazy, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't really tell anybody, but I was just trying to like relax during those 3 days and just try to like chill out. So I remember it was about to be the third day, and I was sleeping. Literally, I fell asleep on my couch watching TV. And I remember I woke up in the morning and I see this notification. I gave my $250, and I see this notification that at like after 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a Cash App notification for $708. I'm so sorry, mistaken. It was after 1 o'clock and it was $708. And it was from her. And I was like, I texted her, I said, Brooke, what is this? And she said I was being obedient to the Lord. The Lord told me that if you said yes to giving your tithes, that I would give you this money back. But if you weren't obedient to the word, you wouldn't get the money. And I was like, what? Because mind you, I only needed $250 for rent. I only needed that for the remainder of my rent. I had all the other money. Trust me, my rent is not $250. Don't get it twisted. It's way more than that. I just needed the remainder. And I got 3 times what I put in. 3 times that. Which was so crazy to me. And even the next week, I even got a little bit more too. She was like, somebody else sent this to send this to you. Guys, the lesson or the moral of the story of this is, again, don't be like me. All the moral of my stories are don't be like me. Don't be like me. Okay? Don't be prideful like me. Don't act like, be prideful in your struggles and nothing like that. But the moral of the story is, and the importance of it is to truly give what is owed to God. So let me bring in about 3 Bible scriptures that talks about this, because this is very important in the Bible. So I want to bring in Proverbs 3 verse 9. I'll put on the scripture right now. In the NIV version, it says, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. So when it says the first fruits, it's a 10%. Normally, whenever you do get a paycheck, the first thing you want to do before you literally spend your paycheck on anything else, you want to give your 10%. You want to give that first towards God, because that is what is owed to him. That is first to give to him. Now, have I been great about that? Sometimes, no. There's sometimes where I do get my paycheck and I do pay rent first before my rent. So that's something I do gotta, be better about. But again, regardless, you need to give that 10% of your paycheck to Christ. I also want to bring in Deuteronomy 14, verse 22, and I'll put that on the screen now as well. But the NIV version says, be sure to set aside 1/10 of all your fields produce each year. So again, I know that Christ was not talking to, I believe he was talking to the Israelites in this moment. I'm sure he wasn't really talking to us, but again, it does apply to us. We always wanted to set aside 1/10 of your fields produce. And that just means again, your first fruits. Obviously, we're not, back in the day, back then, that time, in that era, whenever they were planting and sowing, whenever they would reap their harvest, their income kind of was their first fruits, their first crops that would produce. Being that we're not in that era anymore, and of course times have changed, our first fruit has come in the form of just money now, in the form of finances. So that's basically kind of 1/10 of our fields produce. our sowing is kind of like our work, what we do in our work and our jobs and all that, and then our produce would be like our checks, or what comes home with us. And one last Bible scripture I want to bring up is Numbers 18 verse 26, where it says, speak to the Levites and say to them, when you receive from the Israelites the tenth I give you as your inheritance, you must present a tenth of that tithe as the Lord's offering. So again, this is the Lord talking to the Israelites anyway, but again, it could still apply to us as like the Israelites. And again, it's presenting a tenth of your tithe for the Lord's offering. And there goes literally those two words, tenth of your tithe. So I wanted to just bring those Bible scriptures as just like evidence of what the Bible says about giving your first fruits to Christ, giving what is owed to him. Although sometimes it can be very hard, trust me, because I've had those moments where I wasn't all together financially, and to give that $200 something or whatever, how much your check is, because normally you are supposed to take however much your check is, times it by 0.10, and then you give how much the equation is. So however much I get, sometimes it is hard to give my 10th, but trust me guys, it is all worth it, because it is what is owed to Christ. And now I'm not saying that God is not going to take care of you if you don't give in your 10th, but it's better to give to him and not to rob him, when he has provided you the job that you have. So just being faithful in that, giving what you can give. And it takes a lot to give in faith. It takes a lot to be a cheerful giver, even when you know that you don't have it, but just know that God will provide. He will provide. He will take care of you. If he takes care of the birds in the skies, like Matthew 6 says, he will take care of you. So even when you feel like, oh my gosh, this is my last money, Lord, like what? Like I have bills I can give this towards. Still give it to God. Still give it to God, because he will take care of you. He'll provide for all those other bills. He will provide for all the other stuff that you are dealing with. Trust me, he will come through. Okay? Even if it's in the last minute, he will come through. So I just wanted to come with a quick encouragement, testimony, and importance of tithing. So it is your turn now in the comments if you want to talk about your experience of tithing, what you can tell other Christians about it. And that is it for me this week. So I will see you guys next week with another topic. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.